Hi there, this is Ryan Snow with USGBC's Community Advancement Team. Today we kicked off two different action teams, one on faith-based communities and the other one on community service and development. Wanted to give a quick preview of the presentation that we went through there for those of you who are not able to join us on that call. So the purpose of the diversity and engagement section of USGBC's three-year plan is ultimately to mobilize our local community to reach, engage, and empower a diversity of local citizens and communities in order to drive our vision forward. And just to remind you, our vision is green buildings for all within a generation. So what this means is that we need to reach a broader audience if we're going to actually accomplish that vision. So this is the first steps that we can take as a community to reach those broader audiences. So a few years ago, the Community Advancement Team and the Chapter Steering Committee did a report and used the leadership of our chapters as an indicator of the diversity of our community, and found that we were actually not really that diverse at all. And in fact, we're oftentimes talking to the same people, and this manifests itself in our chapter community, particularly in terms of volunteer burnout and lack of membership or decreasing membership numbers, and so on and so forth. So if we're able to broaden the base of people that we're engaging with and that we're talking to and that we're really providing some benefit for as members of our community, then we have a very different value proposition to our local communities. And so this is really an opportunity to change the value proposition of our chapters by reaching a much broader audience. Now let's take a step back. We know that Americans spend 90% of their time indoors. We're inside all the times. Our lives are spent inside buildings. And when we're not in buildings, the rest of that 10% of the time, we're probably going from one building to another. So any way you slice it, our built environment is really, really important to our lives. And so we have an opportunity to reach out beyond the typical folks within our building industry and with the green building industry to reach a lot of common everyday folks, since we all live in buildings. This provides an incredible opportunity for our chapters who are on the ground locally representing the USGBC. So this becomes not only an issue or an opportunity for market transformation, but actually community transformation. When we were starting to look at this diversity and engagement initiative, we took a step back and looked at our neighborhoods. Where are all the places that people are convening? And because I happen to like alliteration, we came up with the 6 S's of community engagement. So we have community service, we have shopping, sports, schools, spirit, and shows. Service is community development organizations, neighborhood associations, it's your Elks Club, it's your library, it's all of those organizations that are providing some type of a service to the local community. Also includes job training centers. Shopping is pretty self-explanatory, but there's a lot of opportunity to engage people in retail settings, whether it's shopping centers or restaurants or so on and so forth. Shows. Conventions are huge opportunities, and convention centers at the very, very largest level, but it can also be much smaller shows, even movies and street theater. Sports. We know that there are organizations like the Green Sports Alliance that are working with major sports teams and facilities across the country. But what about the Little League teams? And what about your local YMCA? Great opportunities to engage people. Schools. We know that the Center for Green Schools is doing amazing things. 1 out of 4 Americans go to school every day. And they've really done so much through those initiatives to engage a brand new audience of folks. So of course we're going to contribute to that success and continue to advocate for green schools and do Green Apple Day of Service. And last but not least is Spirit. This is our houses of worship, our faith-based organizations. And we're going to talk more in depth about those as we move on. So there's all these different opportunities to engage people, and we really broke it out into these areas, but needed to hone in on 2 specific areas. So the 2 community action team, or excuse me, the two action teams are community service and development and faith-based. So we're going to talk quickly about the community service and development organizations. As I mentioned before, these are all of the kind of nonprofit, citizen-based organizations that are providing some service in our local community. They're the ones that are really transforming communities and lives in a pretty big way. So our objectives with this area are to inspire new diverse audiences by raising public awareness around healthy green buildings and communities among your average everyday person that could benefit from that. Develop off-the-shelf materials and programs for the USGBC community to outreach to individual citizens in their neighborhoods and their communities. Stimulate skills, training, and experiences for and underemployed citizens that result in tangible greening of local community service organizations and facilities. So this is matching up project experience and job training and education with opportunities to actually green projects around the country. And last but not least, empower chapters to collaborate with local community service organizations that advance common advocacy issues. A lot of opportunities to do both capital A advocacy on the policy side of things, but also just advocacy and awareness raising in partnership with a lot of other organizations. Some of the organizations that we're looking at working with at the national level and creating ties there at the local level are the National Organization of Minority Architects, or NOMA, Youth Build, ACE Mentorship, BOLD, Historic Green, the International Real Estate Management Organization, National Association of the Deaf, Habitat for Humanity, Rebuilding Together, and Architecture for Humanity. The second action team is for faith-based communities. Faith-based communities are an incredible opportunity to engage people, mostly because so many people in America find that religion is absolutely an important part of their daily lives. Estimates show that about 200 or over 200 million Americans consider religion an important part of their daily life. So great opportunities to not only engage a lot of people, but engage a real diversity of people. So they have a lot of people that you can engage, but they also happen to have almost 500,000 buildings. These are not just houses of worship, but these are mission-based buildings, these are schools, these are hospitals, retirement facilities, camps. It just goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of people to engage, but there's also a lot of buildings that can be greened. A lot of our faith-based organizations don't know where to get started with going green. We're not saying that every faith-based organization out there has to do LEED, but LEED provides a really great framework and a lot of resources and a lot of knowledge in our community about how to get started in green. So there are some awesome examples of buildings and houses of worship that have gone green. We've got about 200 faith-based projects, not including schools and hospitals, that are either LEED registered or certified from a fairly diverse group of religious traditions. There are 137 houses of worship in there, and about 26% of them are certified. So our primary objectives with the faith-based community initiative is to support and grow faith leaders as green community advocates and champions, to increase access for faith-based organizations to green building knowledge and resources, and inspire, connect, and involve people of faith with USGBC service projects nationally and locally. An example of a service project would be obviously Green Apple Day of Service, which is everybody's favorite. So some of our organizations that we're working with and having discussions with at the national level are the National Religious Partnership for the Environment, which is made up of 4 different organizations: the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Coalition on the Environment and Jewish Life, the Evangelical Environmental Network, and the United Council of Churches of Christ. We're also working with Green Faith, We've been having some conversations with Interfaith Power and Light, and we know that many people within our chapter network are also engaged locally with their Interfaith Power and Light. And also EcoSick is another group that we're working with, and they're actually doing some kind of cool programs to reach out to the Sikh community. So in wrapping this up, there are several conferences that we're looking at attending at the national level in 2013 to outreach to faith-based organizations primarily, and also recognizing the overlap with community service organizations. So just this past weekend, Hannah Debelius from the Center for Green Schools and I attended Jubilee, which is an evangelical youth conference in Pittsburgh. Had excellent reception at that conference, so it was a great way to kick it off. This coming weekend, Kimberly Lewis and I are attending the United Churches of Jesus Christ Workers Conference in Columbia, South Carolina, working with our friends at the chapter in South Carolina to do a presentation there, or workshop, I should say. Other ones that are on our radar are the Conference for Catholic Facility Management, the National Native American Economic Development Conference, Metropolitan Community Churches, and the Islamic Society of North America. So we encourage you to reach out. If you have any questions, you can always contact me, rsnow@usgbc.org, or sign up for one of the Yammer sites.